40 men, an imperial army, a mud fortress. There was one document, a single piece of paper that held the fate of these desperate warriors, a letter they had once signed, an agreement they would later beg to have torn into pieces. These were the Khalsa, a sacred brotherhood of warrior saints, forged by Guru Gobind Singh. Each man and woman dedicated their life to righteousness and defending the innocent. They carried the kirpan, a ceremonial sword, a constant reminder of their commitment to justice. But in the winter of 1704, their faith was tested to its breaking point. For 8 grueling months, the mighty Mughal Empire and its allied hill Rajas had laid siege to Anandpur Sahib, the city where the Khalsa had been born. Food supplies dwindled, water became scarce. Every day brought new hardship, new loss. Have you ever heard the full story of this extraordinary moment? It is a chapter of history that often gets overlooked, yet it defines the very essence of sacrifice and redemption. The Khalsa, led by Guru Gobind Singh, were trapped. Death by starvation or by Mughal sword seemed inevitable. The Guru's own children were suffering alongside everyone else. The enemy, seeing their resolve weakening, offered a way out. Emperor Aurangzeb, ruler of the vast Mughal Empire, sent a personal oath, sworn on the Quran itself, promising safe passage if the Khalsa would simply evacuate Anandpur Sahib. The hill Rajas, who were also besieging the city, swore on their sacred cow to uphold the same promise. This was a profound moment of crisis. How could one trust an enemy who had repeatedly betrayed their word? Yet the suffering was immense. Many Sikhs, though fiercely devoted, saw this as the only hope for survival, especially for their families. They pleaded with Guru Gobind Singh to accept the offer. The Guru, however, knew the true nature of his adversaries. He knew this was a trap. He had already witnessed too many broken promises. He tried to convince his Sikhs, but hunger and despair were powerful forces. Some of the Sikhs, overwhelmed by the impossible conditions and swayed by the enemy's false promises, felt they had no choice. They approached the Guru. They declared they were no longer his Sikhs. They signed a document, a disclaimer known as a bedva, stating they were not his Khalsa. They renounced their allegiance, hoping this would ensure their survival. 40 men signed this paper. Guru Gobind Singh, heartbroken but understanding their desperation, allowed them to leave. But before they departed, he asked them to sign the document, knowing its future significance. These 40 men, who would later become known as the Chali Mukte, the 40 Liberated Ones, walked away from Anandpur Sahib, carrying the heavy burden of their choice. The Guru's fears proved true. The moment the Khalsa began to evacuate Anandpur Sahib, the imperial forces and hill Rajas broke their solemn oaths. They attacked, slaughtering many of the evacuating Sikhs. The Guru and his remaining Khalsa were forced into a desperate retreat, fighting rearguard actions, suffering immense losses. Meanwhile, the 40 Sikhs who had signed the bedva returned to their homes in Majha, a region in Punjab. They expected relief, perhaps even honor for having survived the siege. Instead, they were met with scorn. Their families, especially the women, were ashamed. How could they abandon their guru, their faith, their brothers in arms? Among these brave women was Mata Bag Kaur, revered as Mai Bago. She was a warrior in her own right, a woman of fierce conviction and unparalleled courage. When she heard that men from her village had signed the bedva and deserted the Guru, she was furious. She confronted them, her words burning with righteous indignation. She shamed them, asking how they could ever face themselves again, let alone their community, after such a betrayal. Mai Bago's powerful words ignited a spark of remorse in the hearts of the 40 men. The shame they felt, combined with Mai Bago's unwavering spirit, stirred their dormant courage. They realized the depth of their mistake, the ultimate betrayal of their guru and their own principles. They made a collective decision. They would return to Guru Gobind Singh, They would seek his forgiveness. They would fight for him, even if it meant certain death. Mai Bago herself, donned in warrior attire, rode with them, leading their path back towards the Guru. She refused to let them go alone, determined to fight alongside them. This was their chance for redemption, their opportunity to erase the stain of the Bedava. The Guru, with his remaining Khalsa, was relentlessly pursued by the Mughal army. He had endured unspeakable tragedies, the shahidi, the martyrdom of his 4 young sons. He was moving through the dusty, arid landscape of present-day Muktsar. The pursuing Mughal forces were vast and relentless, determined to capture or kill him. It was here, at a place called Hidran-e-Dab, on December 29, 1705, that the 40 Sikhs, led by Mai Bago, intercepted the advancing Mughal army. They were a tiny force against an overwhelming enemy, but their hearts were ablaze with renewed faith and a desperate hunger for redemption. They positioned themselves strategically in the thorny scrubland, ready for battle. The clash was brutal and immediate. The 40 Khalsa fought with a ferocity born of their burning desire for forgiveness. They were no longer just men. They were an embodiment of repentance, each swing of their kirpan a plea for redemption. Mai Bago fought valiantly, inspiring those around her. They held the Mughal army at bay, buying crucial time for Guru Gobind Singh to prepare for the onslaught. The ground was hard, the air thick with dust and the clang of steel. They fought until every last one of them fell, embracing Shahidi, their bodies forming a protective barrier against the imperial advance. They laid down their lives, not just for their guru, but for their honor, for their soul. After the battle, Guru Gobind Singh arrived at the scene. He found the bodies of his brave Khalsa scattered across the battlefield. He began to search among them, moving from one fallen warrior, tears in his eyes. He found Mai Bago, wounded but alive, and lauded her courage. Then he came across Bhai Mahan Singh, one of the 40, barely clinging to life. The Guru cradled him in his arms, offering comfort in his final moments. Mahan Singh's eyes, glazed with approaching death, fixed on the Guru's face, then flickered towards a small folded paper in the Guru's hand. It was the infamous letter, the Bedava, the document of renunciation they had signed in their moment of doubt at Anandpur, momentarily abandoning their Guru. It was the raw, undeniable proof of their prior desertion. A silent plea, a profound regret, passed between the dying warrior and his spiritual master. The Guru understood. With a heavy heart, yet a face etched with boundless compassion, Guru Gobind Singh unfolded the Bedava. The ink on the paper, a testament to their fleeting weakness, seemed to burn in the harsh sunlight filtering through the battlefield dust. Then, with a deliberate, gentle motion, he tore the letter into tiny fragments. The soft ripping sound was a stark contrast to the clang of steel that had just echoed across the plains, yet it carried an infinitely greater weight. Each tear was an erasure, a silent act of divine forgiveness that absolved them of their past transgression. The shame that had bound their souls was lifted. The burden of their initial doubt was finally gone. In that instant, the 40 fallen warriors, lying scattered across the bloody ground, were transformed. They were no longer the deserters, but the Chali Mukte, the 40 Liberated Ones. Their names were cleansed, their sacrifice elevated to an eternal beacon of devotion. Guru Gobind Singh declared that this very place, sanctified by their blood and their ultimate repentance, would forever be known as Muktsar, the pool of liberation. It was a living testament to the power of unwavering faith, a promise that true courage and sincere atonement could conquer even the deepest regrets. Their story cemented a fundamental truth for the Khalsa, that the path of the warrior saint is paved not just with valor, but with the profound grace of forgiveness and the burning desire for redemption, even from oneself. The seeds of this powerful lesson would spread, shaping the very soul of the Khalsa for generations to come. Bhai Mahan Singh, with his last breath, looked up at his guru. His voice was weak, but his plea was clear. He knew he had betrayed his guru once. He asked for one final mercy. Tear up the Bedava. Tear up that letter, the disclaimer they had all signed, the document that exposed their moment of weakness. Guru Gobind Singh, with immense compassion, pulled out the very document, the one they had signed at Anandpur Sahib, and tore it into pieces. He declared that these men were no longer the Bedavs, the disclaimers, but the Chali Mukte, the 40 Liberated Ones. He blessed them, affirming their ultimate sacrifice had redeemed their past actions. This act of tearing up the Bedava by Guru Gobind Singh was more than just a symbolic gesture. It was a profound lesson in forgiveness, redemption, and the unbreakable bond between a guru and his devoted Khalsa. These 40 men who had once abandoned their guru out of despair found their ultimate purpose and liberation through sacrifice. Their story teaches that even in our weakest moments, the path to redemption is always open through courage, repentance, and unwavering faith. It forever etched into history the idea that true liberation comes not from a moment of comfort, but from a lifetime of conviction. It meant that even when faced with overwhelming odds, the spirit of the Khalsa would never truly break, for true strength lies not in never falling, but in always getting back up.